about you.
Really? Were you throwing up and everything?
One actor was found dead in a bank parking lot at 46 years old, while another spiraled so far off the rails that he physically attacked the puppet and had to be pulled off it by producers. But you know what's even crazier? ALF wasn't supposed to be a hit. The producer who greenlit it had managed Jim Henson for years and thought the whole idea was beneath him. He only changed his mind after seeing one audition, and that gamble turned into a show watched by 26 million Americans every Monday night. But with that kind of pressure came exhaustion, addiction, and losses that some of them never recovered from. Here's what it really cost them. In 1986, Max Wright was a classically trained stage actor who had no business being on a family sitcom. The set was built on a raised platform full of trapdoors. Shooting a single 30-minute episode took up to 25 hours. But the crazy part is that on the last day of filming, Schedeen watched Max Wright pack his bags, walk to his car, and drive away. No goodbye, no rap speech, just gone. And then, after the show ended, things got much worse. He returned to theater and earned a Tony nomination in 1998 for Ivanov, and then he spiraled. 2 DUI arrests in 2000 and 2003.
And then in September 2003, he lost his driving privileges in New York State for 6 months following a guilty plea to a drunken driving charge after running into some mailboxes and a traffic sign.
A drug addiction that became public in the most humiliating way possible when compromising photographs surfaced in the tabloids. His wife of 52 years stayed with him through all of it until she died of breast cancer in 2017. In 1995, Wright had been diagnosed with lymphoma. It went into remission. In 2019, it came back. He died on the 26th of June 2019 at the age of 75 in an actor's home in New Jersey. The man who played America's most patient TV dad spent the last chapter of his life entirely alone. Willie Tanner would never have let it come to that. Max Wright didn't get the same script, but while Wright's story unfolded in the tabloids, his on-screen wife handled the same unhappy set with quiet, total dignity, and then walked away from the industry almost completely. In 1986, Schedeen was a working actress who had spent over a decade doing guest spots on every major show on television. Three's Company, Cheers, Magnum P.I., Murder, She Wrote. She knew what a good set felt like. ALF was not a good set. She described it in 2000 as the hardest job I ever had and will probably ever have. A 30-minute show, she said, took 20 to 25 hours to film. Some of the actors had difficult personalities. She didn't name names. She didn't need to. But here's what's even crazier. Despite all of it, Schedeen was the glue. Kate Tanner worked because Schedeen made her real warm and sarcastic in equal measure. The only person on screen who could play straight to both the puppet and Max Wright simultaneously. When the show ended, she did a handful of guest spots, a few TV movies, and then quietly stepped back. In 2026, Schedeen is 77 years old. She coaches comedy actors part-time. She collects antiques. She became an ambassador for Holiday Heroes, a charity supporting disadvantaged children. She has been married to the same man since 1982. Kate Tanner held the family together through 4 seasons of alien chaos. The woman who played her turned out to not need any of it to be happy. But while Schedeen built a quiet life away from the cameras, Andrea Elson, who played teenager Lynn, did exactly the same thing, except nobody planned it that way. In 1986, Andrea Elson was 16 years old and one of the more naturally gifted performers on the set. Lynn Tanner was the teenager, the eye roller, the one with the boyfriend drama, the one ALF inexplicably developed a crush on in season 1. Elson played it with the looseness that made it feel effortless. She'd been working steadily before ALF, with credits on Who's the Boss, Simon and Simon, and Married with Children. She looked like someone with a long career ahead of her. But here's what's even crazier. After ALF ended in 1990, Elson did a handful of small roles and then simply stopped. Her last screen credit was a 1,997 guest appearance on Men Behaving Badly. She was 27 years old, no announcement, no transition. She just stepped out of the spotlight and never came back. In 2026, Andrea Elson is 56 years old. She lives privately, entirely out of the public eye. There are no recent interviews, no social media presence, no red carpet appearances. Lynn Tanner was always the one who wanted a normal life away from the chaos in her house. Andrea Elson, it turns out, felt exactly the same way. But while Elson disappeared quietly, the boy who played her little brother carried something much heavier, and his story ended in a parking lot in Arizona at 46 years old. In 1986, Benji Gregory was 8 years old, and Brian Tanner was written to be exactly what he was, the child who had no complicated feelings about Alf. Willie was stressed, Kate was exhausted, Lynn was embarrassed. Brian just saw a friend. Gregory played that with a sincerity that no director could have manufactured. It was simply who he was at 8 years old. But here's what's even crazier. When the show ended, Gregory didn't want to keep going. He told People in 2000, "It was a relief. I didn't want to do any more shows." He did some voice work. Back to the Future, the animated series, Once Upon a Forest, and then, in 2003, at 25 years old, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy. He became an aerographer's mate, the Navy's equivalent of a meteorologist. He received an honorable medical discharge in 2005. What followed those years is told partly through what his sister shared after his death, and partly through what Gregory shared himself openly on social media. He lived with bipolar disorder, depression, and a sleep disorder that could keep him awake for days at a time. He was open about all of it. His Instagram bio listed his diagnoses alongside his passions. His license plate, photographed and posted to Facebook weeks before he died, read "Depressed." He wasn't hiding. He was just carrying it. On the 12th of June 2024, Gregory drove to a Chase Bank in Peoria, Arizona, to deposit a residual check. Arizona was in a heat wave 111 degrees. He fell asleep in his car. He never woke up. His service dog Hans died beside him. The official cause of death, confirmed by the Maricopa County Medical Examiner in September 2024, was environmental heat exposure in the setting of hepatic cirrhosis liver damage, compounded by the heat, compounding everything. His sister Rebecca remembered him as a great son, brother, and uncle. He was fun to be around and made us laugh quite often. She asked that donations be made to the Actors Equity Foundation or the ASPCA causes. She said he would have supported. Brian Tanner looked at Alf and saw his best friend. Benji Gregory looked at his life and kept going for 46 years, through the Navy and the diagnoses and the residual checks, until a June afternoon in Arizona when he simply fell asleep. He deserved more time. ALF ended in 1990 with a cliffhanger that was never resolved on screen. NBC canceled the show without warning after season 4 was already in the can. The writers, hoping to pressure the network into renewal, left Alf surrounded by government agents. It didn't work. The alien never got home. There were no goodbyes. That became somehow a metaphor for what followed. Max Wright left the set without a word and spent the next 30 years fighting things no one could see from the outside. And Schedeen walked away on her own terms and built exactly the life she wanted. Andrea Elson disappeared so completely that the internet has almost nothing to say about her after 1997. And Benji Gregory drove to a bank on a hot Wednesday to deposit a check from a show he made as a child and didn't make it home. One show, 4 people, 40 years. None of it went the way anyone expected. Alf never got to say goodbye, and for one of the people who made it, neither did we.